Hey, fifth grade band fam. So today we're going to talk about a dotted quarter note, eighth note rhythm. That's your lesson for the week. Okay, if you want to get out your red book, it's exercise 113 is when you look at it. For the first time, I point over here because my statement's over here. But so we discussed this rhythm before you left, and you see the rhythm in measures 5 and 6. So dotted quarter note, eighth note. Let's take a look at what that actually looks like. Let me grab my marker. This is the rhythm that we're going for. Okay, now what I did was I tried to take the rhythms that are on your page and write them down without a staff because sometimes that can be a little bit confusing to us. So in your first two measures, you see constant eighth notes. Okay, let's clap that. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Okay, those are your first two measures. And then in the third measure, you get to this. So what do? First of all, are these a tie or a slur? Hopefully, what you just said was, it's a slur, Mr. Moran, because these are two lines connecting notes that are of the same pitch, okay? For a lot of you, it's an F. For some of you, it's a G. For some of you, it's a D. It just depends on your instrument. So, in a tie, what do? We tongue or clap if we're clapping the first note, but we don't do the second note or the third note. Okay, this is all the same tie. Ooh, that's terrible. Let me come over to my writing side. There we go. So, in this, do you clap this? No. Do you clap this? No. You do clap here, and you do clap here. So, if we're using the same counting as above, 1 and 2 and, because that's how we count eighth notes. And if you take away the tie, that's exactly what these are. They're just eighth notes, okay? So we'll clap on 1. We don't clap the and because it's tied. We don't clap on 2 because it's tied, but we do clap the and of 2. So I'm going to put this in parentheses. So when we get to that third measure, we're already in our mind thinking 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and, because that's what the first two measures are. So what we have to do is we have to keep thinking 1 and 2 and, okay? But we only clap on 1, not here, but we do clap here. So let's go ahead and clap the first three measures, okay? And ready, go. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and, okay? Good. Hopefully you got it that time. If not, take your time, pause the video, go back, watch me do it again, whatever you need to, okay? So then we get to the fourth measure, and it looks a little bit different. We have a quarter note and 2 eighth notes. So what would we do normally? We would count that as 1, 2, and, okay? 1, 2, and, okay? But they put a tie there again. So we have 1 and, okay? But in my mind, I'm thinking 1, 2, and, all right? So let's go ahead and let's mark out that note because we don't clap it. We don't want to play it. We don't even play that note a second time. We actually are just holding it out. So how did we get a quarter note here is the question. Well, 2 eighth notes, when they're tied together, they equal a quarter note, okay? And you got to remember that when we try and figure out how we get this, okay? I don't know if you guys can see it, but I have a dot there. Make it really big since it's on a blackboard, whiteboard. So these 2 eighth notes tied together, it's musical math. When you tie notes together, they can be written a different way. Well, this is what we have now. So we have this twice, that's measures 1 and 2, third measure, and the fourth measure. Let's clap and count. Here we go. And ready, go. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. Don't clap. And 1, 2, and. Okay? Hopefully, you're not clapping on these tied notes because you don't clap on them. You also don't play on them, and I'll get to that in a second. So, then you get to measure 5 and 6, and we see this rhythm. Well, how do we do that? We do it the same way that we do these two measures. It's just a new way to write it. So, a quarter note down here gets a beat. It's tied to an eighth note. That's a half a beat. So instead of writing all of this and writing a tie and an eighth note, composers a long time ago, people who write music, decided that they're going to come up with a system to do that a different way. And the way they did that is this dot right here. This dot adds half of what it dots. Okay, so a quarter note gets 1 beat. Half of that is a half a beat. So this is 1.5 beats, or 1 and 2. Then that leaves, if we're counting eighth notes, this is an eighth note, the and of 2. Quick question, little quiz for your brain. How do I know this is an eighth note? Hopefully, everybody who's watching this, who has listened to me in class throughout the year, knows that this is an eighth note because this only has 1 flag on it, this little loop-de-doo right here, okay? It's the same thing over here. All eighth notes have 1 line on them. So, I want to go ahead and I'm going to play through exercise 113 for you, okay? I want you to listen, and then I want you to go back, and I want you to play it again. Or I want you to play it while I play it. Here we go, and follow along in your music. Ready? Hopefully, you either played along with me that time, or that was the first time and you watched and you followed along, maybe you clapped and counted with it. Either way, the entire time, I hope you are keeping a steady beat. Da, 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 da. Okay, so a little bit of a supplemental exercise for you this week is going to be number 114, okay? In 114, our first and our third measure are those eighth notes that we started with in 113, but it's followed by a half note. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, okay? So, we don't have these rhythms in the second and third measure. Instead, or excuse me, in the second and fourth measure. Instead, we have that dotted quarter eighth note rhythm, and it ends with a half note. Why is this different? Because we're in 4/4 now. 113 was in 2/4, and now we're in 4/4. So we got to make 4 full beats per measure. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So when we get down here, notice that I lined up these notes. That's on purpose because that's actually where this note is placed. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So I'm going to put in my counting. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Remember, if something is in parentheses, we don't clap it. So don't clap it. All right. So let's go ahead and let's clap and count number 114. Okay. Here we go. 1 and 2 and ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 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 And there is a repeat on it, of course. So these are the only 2 rhythms you have to worry about. Something that helps me, just to talk about our special rhythm, our dotted quarter eighth note rhythm, something that helps me is when this 2 happens, I feel my toe hit the ground. I feel 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Hopefully you could hear my stomp. I don't know. I'm not trying to make my dogs bark. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play 114. Before I play it, I want you to pause this video, and I want you to try and play it, okay? Here's your pause. Pause. And now you unpause the video. Hopefully, you just tried to play that on your own, okay? You can learn by playing along with me, but it's not the best way to learn, in my opinion. I would prefer that you try and play and then watch me to see if you got it correct. So, here's 114, and I'm only going to do it one time through. your assignment for this week is to look at number 116. Okay, 116, it's called Alouetta, and it actually is a popular song. A couple things that you can figure out first is that it starts with a piano marking, which means to play quietly. I want you to ignore the piano marking, okay? Now here's the most important thing. I want you to play the entire thing mezzo forte. That's step one, okay? Step two, notice that you have slurs. I'm going to give you a tutorial of the first two measures and that's it, okay? So notice that you have slurs. Your first three notes are slurred together, so you tongue the first one but not the second one or the third one, okay? If I'm going to practice this, I'm going to look at the rhythms first. So let me put down my trombone. I'm going to go 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, those are my first two measures. Those are the rhythms. I'm hoping that I got it right. And if I think I have the rhythm right, I'm going to try and play it. I know I played that correct. I know I got my slurs correct. I know that I tongued when I was supposed to, and it was a nice mezzo forte volume. So the last thing I'm going to say about 116 is that it has something called the DC alla fine in it, okay? So you start at the beginning. You play the first four measures. Then you play measures 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then you get to the words and it says DC alla fine. Well, DC stands for da capo, which means go back to the top, okay? What do the words alla fine mean? It means play until the fine, okay? If you notice, your fine is at the end of measure 4. So the order of the measures you're going to play is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You take the DC back to the first. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're done because you got to the fine. So your job is to send me a video of you playing this week. Make sure that you practice. We talked about 113 and 114 because those are meant to help you. And the goal is that you start to recognize this rhythm right here. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 3, 4. Okay? Good luck, band fam. Hopefully, if you got questions, you're not afraid to reach out. So, see you.